absolutely stoked at the moment. I've just finished 5k run about half an hour ago. It's just sort of over imagined I'll never be doing again. 10 weeks ago, literally, I can't tell you how unfit I was. I was really struggling with joint and knee pain and stuff like that. Just running was not even, just didn't think I'd ever be able to run again. I'm down 21 pounds, stone and a half I've lost in the last 10 weeks. I'm sleeping solid 5 or 6 hours a day, which is something I've not done again in years. My anxiety's gone, my stress is gone, my depression gone. I'm feeling focused, I'm feeling happy, energized, my libido's up. I feel amazing, absolutely amazing. And I know there's loads of carnivores out there that are doing this at the moment, and I'm not looking to be some sort of big YouTuber or anything like that. This really is just a personal diary for me, and that's why I've not been posting each week whilst I've been doing it. I wanted to get to a point where I'll do a post and then I'll leave it up under that, and then I'll probably keep a more regular diary, maybe once a week. But yeah, I mean, basically food wise, just to kind of give you a heads up of what I do, I kind of have at the moment I'm having one day I do OMAD, 1 meal a day, which is usually a decent sized steak with probably a couple of eggs. I do that sort of every other day. And then on the days where I'm doing 2 meals a day, I will have eggs and bacon, and probably some ground beef, mincemeat, for my sort of breakfast. And then at night time, I would have either a steak or maybe steak and some fish, or steak and prawns. And that's pretty much what I'm living on at the moment. So not exactly lion diet, but not, pretty strict carnivore. Then one day a week, usually on a Friday, I would definitely have salmon as an alternative to steak. And on the Saturday, I normally have a really decent sized steak, and I try and have at least, or try to have liver on that day as well. So I try to have liver at least once a week, because I know it's full of really good vitamins and nutrients you just don't get in your normal sort of steak. And then every now and then I'll end up with, like tomorrow I'll be making chicken, so I'll end up with some chicken thighs. I'll eat the skin with chicken. And I really get down to the bone. And then with the chicken carcass, I make chicken broth, which I turn into a kind of chicken and butter soup, which I'll upload how I do that. Try to have that about once a week. This week, as we speak, I've got some bones in the pot that I got from the butchers, so I'm making my own beef broth with that. So that's again what I'll sort of have as a hot drink throughout the week. And the difference between this week and the last few weeks, I've completely now cut out dairy. So I'm not eating, when I say dairy, I'm still having butter, which I consider dairy, but I'm not eating cheese, I'm not having any kind of cream or anything like that. And this week I've had the biggest weight loss. I lost 4 pounds this week. And to be honest, I was happy with the one. I usually lose about 1.5 pounds a week. It's not as fast as I see on some of the other guys that I've seen on YouTube. But, like I say, I'm 21 pounds down in 10 weeks. That's 1.5 stone. It's slow and steady. I'm not looking to try and lose too much weight too quickly, because I know it just backfires, because there's going to be times where I am going to probably feel a bit more hungry than normal, or I'm feeling run down. And that's one of the reasons, by the way, I've not done a video the last couple of weeks, because I have just come away from having a really bad cold, and I kind of hoped that I might have recovered quicker, because I've heard, like, you can get over colds a lot quicker when you're on Carnivore. I didn't. I was absolutely burnt out. I couldn't run. I couldn't do anything, but. It didn't take longer either. I did recover after sort of 7 days. And funny enough, a lot of my friends and my family have had this cold as well, and it's taken them almost 10 days to get over. And it took me a week. So maybe the Carnivore did help me get over it quicker. I kept up with my fluids. My appetite was down a little bit, but I still ate the same kind of routine of meals. I didn't cut out any of the meals. I was still eating plenty of fat. So yeah, I mean, everything's going amazing at the moment. It's just really, really good. I just, for anyone who's thinking about trying Carnivore, there was loads of people out there far better qualified than me. This is just my journey. 10 weeks in so far. I've done this. I've not done this about weight loss. This was all about just trying to feel better, because I was literally, I've said it in my other videos, 10 weeks ago, I kind of was sitting there and just thinking, that's it, I'm 57 after Christmas. I'll be lucky if I've got another 20 years life left in front of me. And I was just kind of like, settling into the fact that that's it, my life's over physically, and I'm not going to get any better, I'm not going to get any fitter, I'm just going to get more and more of a couch potato as I get older. And I was kind of just getting my head around that, and then I just thought, no, get busy living or get busy dying, and I want to get busy living. I've got grandkids, I've got my own, I've still got a teenage son that lives with me. I've got a lot of life in front of me still, and I don't want to walk away from that just by giving up, by eating sugar. And, it is poison. It was killing me. That and alcohol as well. I'm not saying I was alcoholic, but, I was drinking regularly. I was eating rubbish food all the time, living the typical UK and American diet, fast food, rubbish out of. And not just that, people talk about, fresh food. I'm almost scared to even consider eating vegetables again, ever. I don't have any inflammation on in my joints, my stomach, no stomach issues whatsoever. Like I say, I feel so good at the moment. Why would I try and introduce other things in my life? I'm not one of these people that tells the world that greens are poisonous and stuff like that. I'm not saying that, but I'm sure that high starch and man-made products that are full of sugar and stuff like that are no good for your body. Absolutely no good. We are being fed a lie. Some very powerful people decided, a long time ago, that they were going to encourage us to eat the way everyone eats. And that's why we've got a world full of people struggling with health issues, diabetes, weight problems, cancers. I'm not saying it's all down to sugars and stuff like that, but there's no way there's not a connection between all that stuff that people generally eat and all the health issues we've got. I was borderline type 2 diabetic. I have been for years. I'm pretty damn sure I was probably diabetic. Night sweats, constantly thirsty, constantly needed to go to the toilet. My feet were split all the way down my feet. It wasn't because I was doing loads of exercise. My feet were split and sore. I had blisters coming up on my feet regularly. These are all signs of type 2 diabetes. Brain fog, tired all the time, falling asleep whenever. I cannot stress, if you want to get yourself back up on trying to get yourself back into some sort of, I'm not going to say really fit or really marathons or anything like that, just feeling better, absolutely feeling amazing, give it a go. Give it a go. Eliminate foods bit by bit if that makes it easier. Slowly come into a full carnivore way. Start off with keto, then go to an easy carnivore where you're kind of doing your eggs, your cheese, your butter, your different meats, different cuts of meats, things like that. And then try and introduce, a couple of days where you're just hitting it as like hitting the red meat, the beef, and then a lion diet. Even if you do it every, just a couple of days. Like me, I'm starting to live on that. I'm starting to live on beef all the time. I've got chicken in the cooker today, but I've also got my steak. The chicken will be secondary. I'll be eating my steak first. If I'm still hungry afterwards, I might have a bit of chicken, but the chicken's for the rest of the family. But give it a go. I can't stress. Carnivore has changed my life so much in the last 10 weeks. And I'm absolutely loving this journey. So good luck, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.